So we can first look into the domestic compliances. Domestic compliances like FSI license, like EPIDA license, labeling guidances of FSI, and the GST registrations, the IEC registrations, right? Since you all are exporters, you all are dealing with day-to-day activities on these platforms, right? You are well aware, well versed that what is the importance of these domestic compliances. But yes, before we just start that, what are the 5 essential elements of the exporting process? Compliance with sectorial standards, right? Compliance with sectorial standards. Documentations and customs procedures. It's a part of the export activity. Efficient supply chain management. The goods are moving from the supplier, from the factory, from the producer, and there is a chain. An exporter who is exporting these products needs to adhere to international regulations. Today, no country in the world is self-sufficient on its own. Every country requires some or the other resources, raw materials, food products, semi-finished products, and finished products. Every product has got international rules and regulations because this is international trade. There has to be regulations. No exporter or no country in the world can work the way they want. There are government rules, government regulations, documentations, which we have to comply, and cargo insurance and protection. So these are basically, with all these 5 elements, an export process is happening. It's not that we are taking care of compliance, but we are not bothered about cargo insurance. It's a package. Under this umbrella of exports, all these 5 elements are parallelly working. Now, coming to food safety and regulatories. Food, this is something which is related to the health of the individuals. This is something which is related to the life of the people all over the world. And because it is related to the life of the people, there are regulatory compliances to ensure safety, quality, and trust for consumers abroad. The importance of these regulatory is to meet the regulatory requirements of importing countries, avoid rejections, avoid penalties. Reputational damages are there. We are building a buyer with so much of efforts. We are finding a buyer. We are talking to the buyer at the stage that, okay, yes, our quotation has been approved, and somehow we have developed that relationship, and it's not an overnight job. It takes some time. So if we are not following these regulatory compliances, then there can be damages in terms of business, in terms of reputational. So regulatory requirements are opening doors. When you go to foreign lands, it's opening doors to premium markets. US, Europe, Australia, Japan, Gulf countries, and so many countries. Today, all the countries around the world are hungry for Indian products. So let us just take a moment to respect all that, and why there is a need to comply. Why there is a need to comply to meet safety, to meet the importing country regulations, to meet the buyer requirements, to prevent losses, right? So we are not here to have any loss. And non-compliance is leading to rejected shipments. And compliance is ensuring smooth logistics. This is the difference between compliance and non-compliance. Custom clearance is faster if we are complying. market access is faster. So the importance of following this adherence is to align the global sustainability and traceability trends, use eco-friendly packaging material where there are less carbon footprints, and we are able to follow the environmental goals. There are many of us who are trying to take the benefit of the free trade agreements. Yeah. And in trying to take the benefits of incentive schemes. So once the compliances are done, once the compliances are adhered to, where exporter is able to take the benefit of free trade agreements, importer can avail the benefits of duty free and other incentive schemes. So it's not just about one shipment that we are following. It is a bridge. It is for all the future shipments which we are doing, and this will help us for sustainable and scalable exports. So if we talk about the domestic compliances, correct? The domestic compliances like the FSI license, the EPIDA license, the labeling guidelines, from the FSI, that is all the nutritional facts has to be declared. Expiry dates has to be shown. Any allergens substances, that has to be displayed on the labels. And we should also take care of our GST, our tax, and all those registrations, IEC, Udyam registrations, and all those. Right. So most of you are already aware about the FSI, that is the domestic, and it is mandatory for all the food processing and export units. And all the exporters must covers, this covers hygiene, licensing, and the manufacturing standards. So how to avail the FSI license, that you can navigate on this website, foscos.fasai.gov.in. It's a comprehensive online platform, right? Which is launched by FSSI to manage and regulate the food and safety licensing process in India. So once you have passed through this FSI, every time you are exporting, this FSI license is used, and your custom house agent, your the customs, they monitor whether the license is valid or not, it is updated or it is renewed, right? The checklist for the FSI, that I think you already know all about IC and your food category details. So I'm just moving on these slides. The online process is there, and with EPEDA also, like being the statutory body, epeda.gov.in. Every exporter must get the RCMC, which enables access to EPEDA. EPEDA can handhold those exporters and guide them, promote them for, for more products, for more markets, and required, under the foreign trade policy. So this is also a checklist for EPEDA registrations, which I think is already there with you. And the labeling guidelines for FSI and the complications, which ensures the product must be labels meet Indian as well as international standards, right? So main thing is we need to avoid rejections, right? So again, you can see the references on the FSI portal, labeling and the display regulations. The checklist for the labels, right? Yeah, you can see in the picture also that the nutritional facts are declared, and the license number, the manufacturer details, nutritional facts, allergen declarations, batch number, all these details has to be declared. So this is the checklist for labels. If any of the label is missing some information, then the shipment can be delayed, or sometimes it can be stuck at the customs. GST registrations, yes, that everyone knows, gst.gov.in, and your IC, right? That also is available on the dgft.gov.in, right? So we are talking about the domestic requirements for exporting. And DGFT is issuing the IC to all the exporters, which is valid for lifetime. And every year, I think the exporters have to just update it on the DGFT portals, right? Udyan registration if the exporter is under the MSME, right? So that is also very easy. And most of you must have registered on that. So if we talk about the domestic compliance, here is the checklist, right? So here is the checklist of FSI, APEDA, GST, IC, labeling, and Udyam registration. And what is the purpose, right? So since you all are already into this business and you already know the purpose, right, about all the domestics, that main thing is about the food safety and the following the compliances. This is a spreadsheet. If there are any new exporters, right, or those who are planning to start their export journey, or those who need better understanding, the official website of the FSI license, what is the purpose and requirement for obtaining this FSI license, and what are the key documents. So in one spreadsheet, we have tried to compile all the domestic requirements for a better understanding, right? I would like to share a case study, where an exporter had gone through an export shipment, but it was non-complied by Indian spice exporter, right? So it was mainly an SME exporter who had just started his exporting journey somewhere in Andhra Pradesh, and that exporter was targeting European markets, right? Mainly Germany and Netherlands. I think it was not very just recently in 22, 23. What happened was that the exporter was operating an expired FSI license and did not renew the correct product category as per the latest norms. More than anything else, there was improper labeling. Labels, the critical information was missing. There was no allergen, there was no warning for allergens. The batch code was missing, manufacturing date was missing. Vegetarian, non-vegetarian logo was also missing. And haphazardly, without knowing, they started sending their first export shipment. And then when the consignment reached there, or even at the origin, it was found that these documents were not valid. There were high residues of pesticides. It was tested. And APEDA registration was also not there. So again, there was a stuck in customs. They could not avail the testing report. They were not able to find the traceability. So what was the impact on business? Because of non-compliance, you see, the consignment was rejected in Rotterdam port. The European countries, that is, they imported, they blacklisted that buyer, that supplier. There was loss of trust, and more than anything else, they also had penalties at the Indian ports. Indian port authorities, the shipping companies, there was lots of demurrage charge and storage charge. And in this case, even the export insurance did not accept any kind of claims. So due to lack of all these licenses and understanding, there was a huge impact on, because of the non-compliance by one of the exporters. So from this, what we have to learn as exporters, always maintain and updated FSI licenses. Check the validity. If it is time for renewal, at least 2 months ahead, you should get alerts or you be alerts. Register with EPEDA to benefit from export facilitation norms. Renew your RCMC with EPEDA. Ensure proper labeling compliances, right? And always monitor the banned substances. See, there are so many banned substances, fumigants, pesticides, country to country. You can even talk to your buyer and ask him that which are the pesticides which is banned in your country, or you can also get the information from EPEDA. So main thing is network with people. Go for more learning. Don't think, yes, I know everything and yes, whatever I'm doing, because there are so many things keeps changing. So, and update your documents correctly. So industry reports. These are some industry reports which were presented on Hindustan Times because of non-compliance of by the exporter. Fasai had cancelled manufacturing licenses of 111 spice producers over adulterations. So if there is some adulteration happening in product, the license will be withheld. So it's not that they say, they really do it. This kind of actions have been taken and there are industry reports. I have put the link. Once you get the presentation, you can read those and apply those and take care that this kind of things does not repeat. International compliances is equally important. The US FDA regulations, the EFSA regulations, the Codex, the Halal Kosher certification, and the SPS. That is the sanitary and the phytosanitary measures. See, whenever we are exporting food products, every country has got different laws. US FDA registrations is mainly for exports to US. EFSA regulations is mainly for exports to European countries, mainly where they are very much stringent for additives, for contaminants, for traceability. So there are some authorities, there are regulations, which helps us, our company, to register so that, we follow the norms accordingly. So US FDA registrations is for domestic and foreign companies who are manufacturing and who want to do the exports to USA. Okay, and this process is helping to ensure the safety and the quality of a wide range of products to US consumers. Got it? And how this registration, what is this registration? It's mandatory and it's applied to most of the processed and packed export products to USA and must be registered under the FDA. Who needs to register? All the exporters, food processing units, packaging units, exporters and brand owners. If you're a trader or you're a merchant exporters and not involved in manufacturing or storing, then you don't need to register. But your manufacturer, or your co-packer, he must be registered. So for more details, you can navigate to the FDA registration portals, which is given. And there are different types of products which requires registrations while exporting, right? Bakery and confectionery, frozen foods, uh, juices, pulp, jam, sauces, spices, condiments, right? And along with their nutritional supplements are there, right? So that is most important to take care. And there is an online registrations which is done, and name and address of the facility and all that, US FDA. And most important is there is a requirement of an agent, US agent, which is mandatory. So that every foreign facility, they must appoint a US based agent. as per the FDA rules for communications, for emergency responses, and for inspection coordinations. US FDA may visit the foreign facility anytime for inspection. They will check whether that company or that facility has followed all the guidelines or not. And this agent can be a US based logistics partner, a broker, or a third party service provider. So, especially if you're dealing with food, or especially if you're dealing with American countries, this is how you need to appoint. And again, there is a prior notice. In addition to registration, whenever the shipment, right, it is arriving into the US, there is a prior notice. Shipment contents, manufacturer details, registration IDs, all these IDs are mentioned, consignee details or importer details. And if the shipment is arriving without prior notice, this can be refused or even destroyed many times by the US FDA. And I'm sure many of you must have even faced this kind of problems or this kind of situation. Those who are regularly exporting, they may be aware. But for the new startups, renewal requirements, if your registration is expired, or you can renew it, and the renewal is, I think, for every 2 years. Inspection can happen anytime. If there is a check, they will visit. And non-compliance, if there is a non-compliance found, refusal for further shipments, or there can be an import alert list, you know. Uh, I mean, so this is so demotivating, when this kind of thing suddenly come. If the inspection comes suddenly, or if we have adhered everything, it's good that there is no issues. So always an exporter who is exporting to US countries must have the benefits for compliance. Let's do the compliance with respect. It's enabling the smooth entry to the world's largest food import market. It is building the trust between the US buyers and the consumers. If you're a supplier and you're adhering to all the compliances, definitely the consumer will trust you and you will get repeat orders. Your business will increase. It opens access to even other markets in US. So just take care of the US FDA compliances, and with the help of agent who can be a logistic service provider, he can do all the registrations and follow all that. Now, what are the common mistakes which exporter must avoid by not appointing a US agent? Failure to submit a prior notice. Incorrect facility registration. Wherever is the import facility, the address is not correct or address has changed. Not renewing on time and misdeclaration or mislabeling. Whenever you're dealing with labels and packagings and certifications, please ensure accordingly that is done. Now we talk about the European countries, the EFSA, the European Food Safety Authority. This is the scientific advisor to European Union for food safety. So there are so many European countries like all this, what you can see, Australia, Belgium, Bulgaria, Croatia, Republic of Cyprus, and so many, Netherlands, Poland. So these regulations, this EFCA regulations are like European commissions. They are regulated with EC numbers. So for food additives, it is EC number, what you can see. And for contaminants, these are directly enforceable in every EU country. So the European countries are main concerned for food additives and contamination. because they feel that because of these high level of food additives or contaminants, it leads to cancerous situations, or it is high risk for cancerous situations in people. So that is why all these regulations are uh, generated and regulations are followed. So European Commission, which is an executive branch of the European Union, it is drafting these commissions, and it has to be followed, especially for additives and contaminations. Food additives, proper labeling, proper traceabilities, proper nutritional and health claims. So all the foods which are processed food items entering into the European Union must comply with regulations. So this is a spreadsheet, where you can see how much is permissible limits of additives in the US if you are using preservatives, right? In sauces, in purees, in pulps, we are adding some preservative in pickles, in papad, and so many other things. We are adding preservatives. Okay, so the name of the preservative is given. What is the E number as per the EC regulation, and it is used in which product. So these are sweeteners, colors. So these are approved additives. So in your food products, go with these approved additives, match it with your buyer, match it with the EPEDA or the body from where these EC has been regulated, and then accordingly you can process and you can declare even in the labels. You see, you may be adding sweeteners, you may be adding color to some products, emulsers, So here, this is the brand name, that is the E number, which is used in chocolates and margarines, emulsers. Same way for contaminants, which is used in groundnuts, in pickles, in cocoa, refined oils. So this is the maximum limit which is approved. And what is the risk if these contaminants are used more in excess quantity? What is recommended? Then the risk of various types of organ damages is really high risk to people. So we should not violate the rules, or we should not send something due to unawareness, because we are dealing with somebody's life. Those food products in the entire chain of supply chain, and the end user, end consumer, somebody is going to eat that product, right? So the non-compliance, I will give you one more example of the European country where the turmeric powder was exported with excess amount of aflatoxin levels. And this was due to poor harvesting. And then the product got rejected, and the product never went there. So ensure that the product is tested, especially for aflatoxins. These are the heavy and other heavy metals, related to contaminants, right? So the next third one, the international compliance, is the codex. So codex is what? It's a collection of internationally recognized food standard. It's a benchmark. It's guidelines and certain codes are generated. So it is a joint body. The codex is a joint body of the FAO and the WHO, right? And that is why the name codex means food code. In Latin, it is called Codex Alimentarius. So what is the purpose of this codex? To protect the consumer's health worldwide. Now, this is worldwide. So this is basically a recognized food standard which is proving scientifically that safety standards are checked and approved by the WTO and also by the SPS, that is the sanitary and the phytosanitary measurements. Yeah. So this is mainly covering the hygiene practices, additives, and all the maximum residue levels. So with this certification, this kind of, but even there is many times the trade disputes because of this kind of certification. It is covering all these contaminants, hygiene processes. And why this codex is important for exporters? Why we should comply? As I said, it's a global benchmark. Always go for, and maybe after 6 months, there may be something else that is coming up. So it's continuously, the grade is increasing, the benchmarks are increasing. And many importing countries, in the US, in the Europe, in the Japan, or anywhere, they refer codex while framing food regulations. So there are experts, there are expert committees, who are framing these regulations, and this is used for trade disputes, and it helps to meet the sanitary and the phytosanitary requirements, right? So we can navigate about this codex, right? And it's not a direct registration, let me tell you. It is not direct registration on codex, and codex is not any kind of certification or nor any kind of license. Yes, you just need to register and get certified, right? And then later on, it will align with your product safety, labeling, hygiene, quality, all the standards related to the codex guidelines. So there are national authorities like FSI in India, who is often harmonizing the local regulations. Like if you have an issue, you can go to FSI regarding the codex also. And since you're the member of FSI, you're having the RCMC of EPEDA, you can get guidelines and information, especially for export products. So why we should use, right? Because it is accepted by WTO members. It's reducing technical barriers, right? And it is proving international credibility and safety assurance. And buyers are also checking while they are importing from us. And if the compliance is not there in the imported countries, then there will be problems, and the import custom clearance or regulations cannot be initiated. So these are some of the examples, right, where you can navigate through the official portal. There are standard rules for fruit juices, nectars, spices, jams, hygiene practice, right? So please navigate on this portal for more requirements and for more guidelines. So these are the official institutions which are involved. If you see FSI, what is the role of FSI? Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. It supports codex implementation through food law updates. We don't need to go to international bodies. If there is an issue, very well it can be sorted out over here. Export Inspection Council. This is implementing that codex-based safety export is carried out in a smooth and an efficient manner. So how can exporters ensure codex compliances? Follow FSI and EPEDA standards. Use codex guidelines to set. Regularly keep checking the mandates that comes to us. Subscribe on the web page, on the portal, read the newsletters, read the notifications, check which are the acceptable additives. Suddenly, for example, government has restricted some product and we have no information and we are sending that product to the port, then it comes back from the port. So please, it should not happen this kind of situation. Always conduct third party testing, laboratory reports for heavy metals, for microbial levels, for aflatoxins. All these reports are there. So with the help of all this, the codex guidelines can be met. Yeah. So here you can see this is for the codex, the contact point, that is the FSI, right? And you can visit the website. You can see, navigate over here and look for international cells, that is adopted standards and codex meetings and certain decisions. So what are the key takeaways on what we have discussed on the international compliances that refer to codex codes during when your product is getting developed for exports? When your product is under process for labeling, mention your codex compliances in all your product dossiers while applying for export approvals. See, that is very, very important. Although it's a very small thing, but if you put the codex compliance in your dossiers, it will really help you to be alert at an early stage itself. So FSI codes are like mirror codes, and complying with these codes are aligning to many of the cases. So the key takeaways, which we already discussed, that Codex Alimentarius is not a certification. It's not a portal for exporters to register. It is an international food safety standard framework, which is associated with FDA and as well as with the WTO to ensure your product meets globally accepted safety norms. And it has to also align with the SPS. Again, the food safety measures compliance under the WTA trade laws. Now, what are SPS measures? Like most of you must be already aware.
Manisha ma'am,
Yes.
if you'd allow, maybe before we go to our next section, if you want to ask if anyone has questions in the
Yeah.
previous
Yeah. Yes.
section,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I've
Sure.
just allowed anyone if they want to unmute and talk also.
Please.
So till now, whatever we have discussed, if there are any questions, especially if Codex was new for you, right? If you have any questions related to it, please feel free to ask. And ma'am, we can just maybe take that break before we move to that next
Sure.
section, and
Sure. No
then we'll
issues.
continue.
No issues.
Okay. Any questions? Else we'll keep moving forward. Yes, Chitranjan ji, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Hi, Manisha madam. Thank you so much for this wonderful session and Shruti madam for giving us the opportunity. My voice is audible loud and clear, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Madam, actually, except FSI, none of these documents are required when, except FSI and APEDA, none of these documents are required when you target any Middle East market, right?
Yes.
Why it is so? Why European and Americans are so much stricter on this?
Because these are the norms that they have given, right? And in FSI, that is covering everything.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, did not get you. In FSI, they are covering everything.
In FSI, all the approvals are covered.
Yes. Okay. But to export it to US and European market, we still need FSI also.
Yeah, we need FSI also, along with the other documents that we discussed. But it is better to have the information.
Okay. So basically, these information we'll get from the importer when we are finalizing the deal.
Yes, yes. Always verify with the importer also, because they may be more aware
Okay.
Yeah.
of the
But
any sudden importing guidelines which has changed.
Okay.
But Chitranjan ji, it's also a good idea that when you are going to an importer, you go with my understanding is this is needed. Has that changed? Because then you sound like someone who knows the market as opposed to just asking them, you know, what do I need? And that is where whatever Manisha ma'am teaches at least gives you that first level of conversation where you say, in my understanding, this is what is needed. Is there anything else needed, or is there a change?
Yes, madam,
Yeah.
you are correct. Right, as a beginner, right, what you'll do, we'll do a YouTube search or Google search or AI search. What are the documents needed? And we may Google don't give us the might not give us the comprehensive things, right?
Yes.
Or importer also might not. Importer also these two documents, whereas there might be 5 documents. Okay, in that case, if
Yes.
we miss one document and if we send our export, and it may get rejected at their customs. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
is there anybody, is there any consultant here, or Manisha madam, are you helping the new exporters in that? Because yes, because the see
Yes,
new
there
exporters
can
don't have
be
this idea.
consultants. I think Shruti ma'am can put you directly through consultants. But yes, always go through the consultant. Hand holding is required
Yes,
for the new exporters, because see, these norms regulations change,
yes,
and then you say, as Shruti ma'am rightly said, that as per my understanding this was correct, but now something
yes,
changed, right?
yes,
So you
yes.
get the updated ones. Yeah. So can we finish the
Fine.
presentation now, since we
Yes,
are
yes,
running
yes,
short of
yes,
Yes,
time?
yes,
yes,
ma'am. Of course, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, Mehtanji, if you don't mind, we'll take the question towards the end at 5.
Just a second. All right. So 1 minute. Where is the? Okay, here it is. Fine. So we discuss on the key takeaways of all the FSI as well as the European EFSI documents, that basically to follow these regulations, which is binding across Europe, who are binding all these European commissions. And yeah, you can, there is a website also, portals for the quick update, right? Now we talk about the halal or the kosher certifications. And these certification, mainly the halal is especially used for the Middle East and the Jewish markets like Israel and other European markets, right? So these are mandates, and without these certifications, your products cannot enter or complete into specific markets, right? So yeah, you can see these are some of the countries. Like if you want to go to UAE, along with your FSI, you again, as and when these documents are required, like UAE, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, uh, you know, all these countries are operating uh, under these kind of certification. And in India also, these certifying bodies are there, for the halal certification. That is Halal India Private Limited, halal certifications. You can go to them, and you can get the latest updates even from them, and just apply to the certifying body, and submit the documents, ingredients, or any kinds of manufacturing processes that is required, right? And the kosher certification is mainly going for the that confirms to the Jewish dietary laws, right? And this is mainly for the Israel and all those parts, about Jordan, Romania, Israel, Hungary, Poland. All these countries are um, falling under the Jewish markets. So mainly the products that requires is the dairy, the bakery, the meat-free processed foods, food additives, and all those uh, different types of products. So what are the key rules? That no mixing the dairy and the meat. Got it? Whenever you are exporting, make two different consignments, and only permitted for animals and slaughtering process. Those who are dealing into animal, poultry, and all those other products. Registrations are there. Always select a agency for an inspection team. Submit the process details and raw materials, and always go for the ongoing supervisions. So there are some rules which one has to follow. And there is a case study about halal certification and non-compliance. In Uttar Pradesh, there was a customer, there was an exporter who had exported a product, and you can see there was a industry article that the ban exempted only for the export bound products. And even 480 inspections and 97 raids across 38 districts led to seizures for over 2,500 kilos of packed food items because lacking proper accreditations. Right? So here, these are the prints which link you can go through for the evidence that how non-compliance is leading to this kind of losses. Private agencies had issued an unaccredited halal certificate, which was contrary to the FSS Act of India, which doesn't require the certifications for domestic retail products. So from this case study, what we have to learn or what we have to understand that these consignments are getting stuck. So always use an accredited agencies for all your testings. NABCB is an accredited board. You can navigate here and find out yourself. Make use of these agencies for the proper way of sending it. Maintain clean documentation and transparent processes. This is a spreadsheet for the halal. That because the unaccredited certification was issued in the case study which we discussed, an exporter in Uttar Pradesh faced lot of losses. The impact was product seizures and legal notices. So from that, what is our lesson that we should take care? Use NABCB recognized halal certificates. Second, there was a mislabeling in the domestic sale. So there they had to pay penalties. They had to even shut down their store. So always use separate labels for separate products, domestic and international. And there was a lack of audit trail. So public mistrust was the biggest impact. So every exporter must maintain clean and documented certification process. Preserve all these documentations, and accordingly, there is no misusing. Halal certification must be obtained only through certified agencies accordingly. So if this kind of goods are many times rejected, if this time of goods are not passing through, then there are lot of issues going on. Product safety and certification. Yes, there's a question.
Ma'am, 1 minute. I'll have to allow unmuting. Yes, you can unmute and ask. Soumitra ji, you may unmute and ask.
Okay, we'll continue.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Fine.
Oh, okay.
Product
I'm really
safety.
sorry. Can you try again? I'm so sorry. You should be able to
Yes,
now.
yes, yes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes.
Ma'am, before we proceed further, I have a specific question regarding HACCP and ISO 22000. This is basically what I see is becoming a requirement for enter Southeast Asia, Far East countries. They're asking for all these certifications.
Yeah,
So what it is exactly and how do we get it,
yeah.
and as a
They
trader
are
and
coming.
as well as a manufacturer?
They are coming to that, Mr. Soumitra. Okay.
Okay, okay, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. So yeah, we are talking about the traceability systems and the QR codes, right? What this is enabling is it's enabling to track the product for the origin. It is very easy to identify. It is increasing traceability. See, we are in the world of technology nowadays. Every product must carry that QR code so that the details can be visible. It's visible at the entire supply chain. Okay. For example, an exporter of Indian basmati rice shipments going to Europe, needed based traceability for pesticides residue control, right? So, whenever any product is exported, whether that product is freely importable, exportable, or if it is temporarily banned for some time, then it is okay. When the ban is uplifted, you can export it accordingly. Yes. Now we'll talk about mainly the HACCP, that is the hazard analysis and critical control points. What is it? It is mainly to preventive system to identify the biological, chemical, and physical hazards. And it is globally recognized all over the world, mainly for seafoods. When we are exporting seafoods, right? Uh, there are biological reactions, there are chemical reactions, as well as there may be physical hazards. And if this is not complied, then there is a risk of contamination and imports can become banned at the other country. ISO 22000 and FSSC 22000 food safety management. This is mainly used for Middle East, US, Canada, European countries, and it certifies the quality of the products. And why it is important? It is providing international credibility. So many Middle East countries, they want this kind of certification. And if this is not complied, then the supply chain may stop, exports can stop, or shipment can be delayed. For example, processed mango, which is going from South India to Middle East, it requires ISO 22000 to enter into any Canadian markets or any Gulf markets. So that is important. Even if we are sending any goods to UK, the BRC, that is the British Retail Consortium, global standards. So these are all different standards which needs to be followed. If we are sending goods to UK, Germany, France, or any other developed markets, yeah, this is the official portal. And if this is not complied, you can lose the business, lost retail contracts, and product recalls risk. IFSC certification, mainly this is under GFSI recognized certification, mainly used by European retailers. And what is the main purpose of these certification is to verify that the food products are produced and safely and legally they meet the customer specifications. So IFS certification, here there is an official portal which you can navigate, but the key aspect is focus on the product safety, hygiene, and legal compliances. That is very, very important. Here, if we see a spreadsheet between the BRC certification and the IFC certification. The BRC is mainly for the UK. The IFC is for, by mistake, I written IFS. It is for Germany, France, Italy, and the European countries. The region which is mainly focusing, and it is a GFSI recognition, both these certifications, mainly processing for the food processors, that is the BRC, and IFS is for private label and the food suppliers. So you can just navigate on the official website of these certifications. Always take help of a consultant. Always take help from FSI, which covers all the certifications. If something new is also there, FSI will be able to help us, and they will also be able to guide us. Got? So third party testing. This is also mainly, it is an independent testing agency for testing pesticides, for testing toxins, preservatives. And this is mandatory for Europe, Japan, US, especially for the organic and for the baby foods. Baby foods has to be free from toxins, free from aflatoxins, pesticides. And it's ensuring compliance. This certification is ensuring compliances. And if you have all this certification related to your country, specification to your exporting, it will definitely speak about your credibility. Now, another example, that Indian spice exporter to Japan were rejected due to non-compliance of ethylene oxide residues. When the sample was tested in the lab, all these reports came out that it is rejected. So what should exporters do? Know your importing country. And I hope everybody would agree to this. Know your importing country's MRL, that is maximum residue limits. The table that we saw just few slides away. Test your samples at NABL approved or EU or USF FDA recognized labs. These are all authenticated, these are all recognized, and these are all approved institutions for laboratory testings. Avoid excessive and banned fumigation during storage or transit. Use QR codes for traceability, that we all know. Every package must have a QR code, which you can access the QR code and read the contents of the package, right? And always take help from EPEDA. This is a checklist. Can just have a look. I think this will give you a better understanding that which certificate is required. Like FSI, we already discussed. Phytosanitary, also we discussed. And the issuing body and the official portal. So you can just reach out to navigate through this portal so that it gives you the access for the requirements of the latest regulations or any handling instructions that has been there. About HACCP and ISO, it is through accredited certifying bodies. Who are the issuing authorities of these certificates? The accredited certifying bodies. And here you can see the website. I have given the official portal. You can navigate and you can check the details. Now, BRC certification, that is the BRC Global Food Safety. So these are some of the portals you can navigate. Yes, somebody was asking me if the copy of the presentation will be shared or not. Yes, it will be shared. I think Ms. Shruti will share it, and accordingly. About halal certification, you can see here, and the portals are also given. So as and when related to your product, related to your country, you can navigate and look for more details. So what are the key takeaways? That exporters must invest in certifications. Look for premium markets because it opens doors for premium markets, and non-compliance is costly. Then compliance, right? How many of you agree with me? Non-compliance is costly. Shipment rejections, damages. So always be proactive and not reactive. So the final conclusion for the takeaways of exports is compliance is not optional. It is a passport to global markets. Certifications like GI, certifications like halal, HACCP, all these are entry gates. And this keeps changing as and when time goes. There may be something coming upgrading, which we can check with the RCMC's authorities, we can check with the export promotion councils and invest early in compliances. Each market has unique requirements. All right, so know before you ship. Middle East requires halal, Jewish markets needs kosher, EU demands traceability. So discuss with your buyer. Always, there may be something new which may come up at the later stage or maybe while you are exporting. Align the certifications accordingly. Build quality always and look for safety. Empower your entire supply chain from farmers to processors to logistic service providers and follow the protocols. And non-compliance cost more than compliance, as we said, because there is reputational damage, there are legal fines, there are penalties. But one shipment rejected, you go back 5 years back. It takes so long to redo the same thing or to regain that reputation. And buyer will lose the trust because buyer having his timeline for the product. But your product is stuck because of non-compliance of certain things, non-awareness or errors. Sometimes even if you're aware, but there are errors. Something is mismatching. Labels are mismatching. Something is misdeclared. You may do it knowingly or may doing it unknowingly. So whenever we are exporting all these products, we have to be alert, continuous improvement in export strategies. Keep upgrading yourself. And certification, as I said, it's not just one-time activity. It's a continuous commitment to excellence. So summary from today's session is export with integrity, comply with precision, and grow with trust. Once the trust is there, the growth is 100% there. Growth is more and more if there is trust. So let quality and compliance be your global business card. Be professionals with buyer. Be humble with buyers. We are helping the buyer with the product and we are helping and they are helping us with the money. And agriculture and food process exports is so strong sector. It's one of the global sector where so much of food products are going. So accordingly, if we go for the excellence, then definitely there is more business and India can be the fastest growing economy in the world. India can, very soon target to be a $5 trillion economy, looking to all those what is going on. So, I mean, what I see that when we have this kind of forum, when we see this kind of platforms, which is encouraging, which is really giving the hand holding to all the exporters, importers, for this kind of exports. Definitely, India can do new exporters. There is new way for new exporters. So, friends, as we come to the end of this insightful and engaging session, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being so passionate exporters, dynamic professionals, and aspiring entrepreneurs. And we have explored not just technicalities of certifications, standards, or compliance framework, but we have also gone through the real-time examples about traceability. And India is not just a food producer. We are the powerhouse of food exports with the right compliance, with the right quality, and with the right commitment towards excellence. So, friends, let us all be together. Let us all work hard. Let us all be vocal for local in order to go global, to make our country as a Viksit Bharat and as an Atmanirbhar Bharat. Thank you so much. for joining. I'm happy to be here. Namaskar and Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, Manisha ma'am, for the excellent session. We'll open the floor for questions. There were quite a few questions people had during the session also. Mahantesh ji has his hand up. And in the meanwhile, there is also a feedback form, export compliance, food and agri feedback form on your screen. Please fill that feedback form. Ask your questions. I strongly urge all of you to stick around. I have a very interesting AI tool I want to show all of you. In-house, Vadhani Foundation has developed export compliance related AI tools where you put your exact product, your HCC code, and it tells you for a particular market a full checklist or latest checklist of what you need. I would like to showcase that, but right now, let's focus on the feedback and the questions you have with Manisha ma'am. She is going to leave very soon. After that, I will showcase that
I
tool.
think I'll be
So
able to
please,
take one question because I have another class. This meeting has already opened. Thank you, Mr. Arijit.
ma'am,
Thank you so
we have this meeting scheduled till 5. I
5,
think your
yes.
next session you had mentioned was at 5:30.
5:10.
Yeah. So yes. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Arijit, for your kind words. And
Yes.
yes,
Please, let's Mahantesh ji, please feel free to
Yeah, yeah.
ask your question.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Am I
you.
audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Uh, Good afternoon, Manisha madam. And I'm also thankful for Vadhwani Foundation having this kind of awareness trainings or meetings. Just wonder, madam. See, you talked about the non-compliance. Okay, rejection of the lots at the port level or international port level. Who has to be blamed or who has to take this accountability? Okay, why the exporter is only targeted? There are so many institutions in between. Either although they issue some good certificates based on their lab standards, but if it go wrong at the international level, then who has to? I mean, because it becomes a nation's pride. Okay, and how to deal with it?
Yes, Mr. Patil. See, mainly, as you rightly said, that why the exporter is targeted, right? So, if the goods get stuck up, it is the exporter who is responsible for for a flawless export custom clearance. So, in my opinion, as you rightly said, you can check with various authorities before you are exporting from your factory. Get a checklist from the custom house agent for all the certification who is dealing particularly in your product as well as in your country. So you can get that, and once, yes, there may be some errors from the labs also, but don't go with any local lab or any private lab. As we discussed, go with the authorized labs. And before exporting, always we must check whether all the documents are in line and as per the checklist, and get in touch with the buyer, get the approval from the buyer, get the approval from the custom house agent, and then send it. Because once the goods are out from the factory or out from the unit, things will become very difficult.
Okay, madam, fine, madam. The second, see, I am sending some product to Germany. Okay, then I need to have EFSA, then again Germany, because Germany comes in European Union.
Yes.
Okay, why there are two certificates? Okay.
There are the regulations which we have to follow. We cannot say why. Whatever is required, as and when the time is there, at that time we must produce that document because it proves our credibility.
Soumitra ji also ma'am had a question. What's the approved PPB for EU and USA?
What is the approved?
PPB. Mr. Soumitra Ghosh ji, do you want to clarify this?
Mm-hmm.
Saying aflatoxin is measured in
Measured in
ppb.
ppb.
Okay.
Okay.
Considering this is a little more technical, Manisha ma'am.
Yeah, maybe we can do some research and then get back to them on this.
Okay. May I request, Samita ji, can you ping me once? Then the moment Manisha ma'am gives the response to me, I will forward it to you, sir.
Sure.
So you have my number, Samita ji. You connected with me, I'm sure, over some WhatsApp group. So you can ping me one on one, and whenever Manisha ma'am sends a response, I'll forward that WhatsApp to you. Thank you.
That's the unit
Any
of
other question?
aflatoxin. Yeah. That's the unit in which it is measured, aflatoxin. Parts per billion.
Hmm. Ah, okay.